Tired of the endless cycle of managing Kubernetes infrastructure? The late night patching, the scaling headaches, the countless hours spent on operational tasks? What if you could stop getting caught up in all of that and just focus on what really drives your business forward, like building great applications faster? Red Hat OpenShift Dedicated on Google Cloud was built to do just that. It's a fully managed application platform designed to remove the burden and risk while still maintaining control. I'm Michael.
And I'm Kevin, and we're black belts at Red Hat. Think of us as technical experts who can help solve your most complex challenges and get the most value out of Red Hat Cloud services. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain to show you the architecture that makes this all possible. Let's head over to the whiteboard.
So Kevin, tell me a little bit about what this looks like from a networking perspective.
Yeah, from a networking perspective, we're going to leverage Google Cloud infrastructure. We're going to start with a VPC, like a big VPC here. And in that VPC, we're going to have three subnets.
And this VPC is in the customer network, in the customer account.
It is in the customer account. And so we'll create the VPC here. And we're going to have one subnet for private service connect. We're going to have another one for the control plane. And a final one for our worker nodes.
So this private service connect subnet, what exactly is it used for?
Yeah, so this is an important part because with OpenShift Dedicated on Google Cloud, it's a managed service. So our Red Hat SREs are going to be monitoring and managing the cluster for us, the environment, and they're going to use a private service connect to securely connect into the customer account so they can manage and monitor it. So here we're going to have a private service connect attachment.
And so this is entirely over the Google Cloud network, right? There's no internet access required for our SREs to access this.
That's right. And that's one of the key advantages of using Private Service Connect. It's a secure way for Red Hat SREs to connect into the cluster.
And so with our SREs, right, they're responsible for managing the entire platform, right? So that means that they're responsible for managing the control plane, managing the worker nodes. They're doing that all over the Google Cloud network so it stays entirely within that environment. But what does it look like from a machine perspective here? Like when we're actually using all of these pieces, where's the cluster actually running in this picture?
Yeah, great question. So we're going to leverage virtual machines in the Google platform, and we're going to have three VMs for the control plane, and that's going to connect over here to our worker nodes. We're going to have two for infrastructure nodes. It's going to handle the logging and monitoring pieces of the cluster. And then after that, we're going to have machine pools. Now, when you first create a cluster, you're going to have a default machine pool. And these could be, say, general purpose VMs that the cluster will use for the core platform for some of your applications. Now, we can also leverage other VMs with Google Cloud. We could leverage like high memory VMs. We could leverage high CPU VMs, or even GPUs if you so wish. So we can leverage the Google platform to meet the workloads that you would want to run on the cluster.
Awesome. That's great.
So, Michael, I know, so our Red Hat SREs are coming into the cluster. What permissions do we need to be able to provision this infrastructure?
Yeah, it's a great question. So when we're deploying clusters inside of Google Cloud, we're using a tool called Google Workload Identity Federation. And Google Workload Identity Federation, or WIF for short, as we call it, is used to actually give all of these resources inside of the cluster access to the Google Cloud APIs to be able to run and operate. And one of the great parts about that is that the permissions that they have are very granular. They're very small and limited permissions to provide kind of the least privileges possible to be able to operate. In addition, one of the other things is that they're time limited. So those credentials are only valid for a short period of time. There's no like long-term static credentials that are used like extended service accounts or things like that, which means there's a lot less risk from a blast radius perspective. But one of the great benefits of that too is that, let's say, for example, we wanted to use another tool like Vertex, for example, right? So as we're actually talking about Vertex, right, we have an application that's running here, for example, and it wants to access the Google Cloud API for Vertex. Well, what it'll do is it'll use WIF to actually connect to that service so that only this specific pod that is running on this node has permission to access that resource. It provides an extensive amount of safety when we're actually operating this to ensure that only the resources that you give it permission to have the ability to actually use that service. And that's not just for this individual thing. It's any Google Cloud service that supports connectivity, your applications can utilize that, whether it's a database or whether it's other third-party services as well. You have the ability to use WIF as a part of that.
That's great. Does that mean we don't need like legacy credentials to connect to Vertex, connect to like a Google database?
Yeah, exactly. So no need for you to put credentials into your applications. Instead, you just tell it to use the underlying service account, and it'll federate that permission through the cluster itself directly to the Google Cloud API.
That's great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
In addition to that, tell me a little bit about like if I wanted to run things on OpenShift, right? One of the values that we talked about is the application platform itself. Can you tell me a little bit about how the application platform plays into the OpenShift dedicated environment?
Yeah, I'd love to. So OpenShift Dedicated on Google Cloud provides an application platform for your developers to use to rapidly build, scale, and deploy applications. And we have a variety of tools we can add to that. Through the concept of Operator Hub. So included with OpenShift is Operator Hub, and there's a number of Red Hat open source and third-party operators that we can quickly add to the cluster. Let's talk about a couple Red Hat operators that come with OpenShift.
Yeah.
Now, one of the more common ones we see is OpenShift GitOps, which is based on Argo CD. And this is used for developers can use to deploy applications into the cluster. We have other operators for service mesh. This can be used to do to secure microservices together, do advanced traffic routing, kind of abstract some of the technical details so developers can focus on what's important to them, deploying applications. And then, of course, we have Red Hat OpenShift AI. And this can be used to develop AI applications, generative AI applications, along with integration with Vertex.
Awesome. That's so great. Well, thanks for talking with me about this.
Yeah, thanks. This is great. So we started this video by asking, what if you could stop managing your Kubernetes infrastructure?
Well, as you've seen, OpenShift Dedicated on Google Cloud makes that a reality. Instead of focusing on low value add tasks, your team can prioritize what matters most: building, deploying, and scaling applications.
To learn more about Red Hat OpenShift Dedicated on Google Cloud, check out the links.